that's what like irks me, because like the streams are the main source of my income for the show. Like that's what it is, because people donate. Like that's what it is. Like literally that's all it is.
Yeah.
Like I don't make like any, I think I make maybe like on a game that 80,000 people watch, like maybe $50. Like that's like what you get.
Yeah.
But I get the revenue from like Jim and Jim B, like going back and forth and like donating ridiculous amounts of money that I'm like completely blown away from. And like that's the thing that like if I lost that,
bye-bye.
Like I'm done. Like I literally have zero revenue stream, because like those reaction videos that I put up, like the Bills one has at this moment made me $12.
That's what's funny. People don't realize like some videos get a ton of views and doesn't necessarily mean you make a lot of money. Correct. People assume views or numbers equal money, and people assume that I make some of my low, like if people watch the full video, you make way more money. So like I'll have a video with like 6,000 views that makes more money than a video with 80,000 views.
Yep. It's watch time, you know, and it's one of those things that like, I don't have a marketing like I don't have any money in marketing.
Yep.
I don't have any of that stuff. I have like my Twitter and my Instagram, you know, and like, listen, sometimes I get a beer fridge, which is awesome and which is amazing. Shout out to New Air. But like, again, like I don't have like SeatGeek. Like I the only reason I'm an affiliate with them is because I reached out and they gave me a code and they're like, we'll give you $10 every single time someone like uses the code. But it's only for like first time users anyway. So like maybe every now and then I make like $20 from it a month. And like, that's the thing that people don't understand. And that goes back to our original conversation of just like, it's a passion thing. And if you don't have the passion for it and you're just like, like you said, I'm just trying to make more money, this is not the business to get into, because it's most likely not going to happen. Or if it is, it's going to be very little, or even at that, it's going to take a really long time for that to build up. Yeah. Yeah. And so like where you're at now. So like, I will admit I mean, this shouldn't come as a shock. I found that I was still doing the content when 5 people were watching, which wasn't that long ago, and to now where there's like 5,000 people watching, or 50,000 or whatever. And I enjoy it more now that I can interact with more people, right? Because like it seems just like I'm not just talking to like Earl in the comments.
Or my wall.
I do that anyway, but like, you know what I mean? Like it's nice. So to go from like where you were, because you had like this meteoric rise, and it happened quickly. Yeah. Like I remember like you sending me that clip, and then like literally like 6 months later, I was like, holy crap. Like it was like it came out of nowhere. So like, what do you see being like some of the main differences? Like obviously like there's income, and like there's the Ask Zac thing, which I absolutely love. Like, you know, then there's that interaction that's going on. But like, for you, has that changed any of like your creative process? Has that changed any of your that's what's, like views on the product as a whole?
I think it's just reaffirmed that there's a right way to do it, and you have to like it's my job. Like I have to make money. Yeah. But you can't let money drive your decisions. You have to let the passion. And so it's important, and it's I think there were moments where I look around, like I was in New York City, I was in Manhattan at a coffee shop putting out my Carson Palmer video, and I was like, man, like, and I it was one of those moments where I'm like, this is cool because I'm so proud of this thing that I made. And as long as you're proud of it, that's what's huge. And what changed, I hope very little. Like I get comments sometimes that I'm really proud of. They're like, dude, you're the same guy you were. Hopefully not the same. Like my approach has definitely evolved, but it's very similar content that it was 2 years ago. I think I'm a little more mature. I think I'm a little less harsh, a little less clickbaity. Definitely way less than I was. I used to try to be like Stephen A. Smith, and I'm like, no. Like when he first started, like 2016, I think I tried to be that guy, and I learned very quickly.
Click on my video.
That doesn't work for me. Like I have to be the more nuanced and calmer guy.
Sure.
But I mean, like I get accused all the time of like, oh my God, you have a great camera, and you're like, I spent like $30 on curtains behind me. Yeah. I had the same camera I started with. I learned how to use the settings better. Yeah. And I record on a plastic table. Like, I don't
listen. Yeah. The only reason I got this is because this was on sale a few years ago. And I think like I got it as a Christmas gift. Like, you know, and that's, I
do a podcast with my dad called the Flawed Humans Podcast. And it's, we talked about finances the first time. I've never talked about my finances at all. And we talked about it on that podcast. And it was just like, I don't know. Like I'm terrified of losing what I have, because I understand like it's volatile, and I drive a 95 Corolla I have to hold it in 5th gear because it doesn't work unless I literally hold it there. Like, I don't know. I think there's a view of YouTubers and this and that. It's like, I do it because it's fun, because I love it. Yeah. Not because it's profitable.
Yeah. Well, and I think too is like, let's just say worst case scenario, like the NFL is like please don't report me. Like if the NFL like looks at like my stream and it's just like, you're done. Like, you know, you're not allowed to stream anymore. I mean, like I would still put out content 5 days a week. Like, and again, and it's not because of just like, well, now I need to make those $12 5 times a week. It's more just because like, okay, well,
it's fun.
It's fun. I enjoy it. Yeah. And listen, there are days where I don't. Like there are days where like I'm dragging my carcass because like what I did this season was I made a schedule. Like it literally was like, this is what happens on Mondays. This is the videos that come out on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And it's a rough schedule. Like that's a very difficult schedule. But I found that when I got off that schedule, I hated it because like I needed that order in order for that to happen. And so like I didn't feel fulfilled for that day if I was just like, crap, I didn't do this video or it didn't come out. And like, yeah, I think that's also what people don't realize. You're talking about like YouTubers and like, oh, they make all this money and they have all this success or whatever. And it's interesting. Like you're talking about, you know, making this video and sitting back and being like, wow, like, this is awesome. Like I'm
like
really
the
proud
message
of
of that
this.
video was like, don't settle. I'm like, hell yeah. That's, you know, man, it's pretty clear. Like I grew up listening to Colin Cowherd. Like it's undeniable. Like when I was a kid, my dad and I listened to him together. I stopped listening to him in like 2017 because I realized, oh my gosh, I can't. I got accused of copying him all the time.
Yeah.
And like, if I'm gonna get accused, at least I know I'm not listening to him because I know I'm not getting his influence.
Yeah.
But what I do love about his approach, and he doesn't own this, is making analogies and I really try to talk about stuff like life lessons and things I've learned and put that in my content, color that in because that's important. And I really don't just, I value that. I love that it's fun for me to share like, hey, if you hate your job, if your like relationship is not quite fulfilling or I've been to 4 different colleges. Like I left my college because it wasn't good for me and I transferred and found a better one that actually was a good fit for me. Like go get that. And so the lesson of Carson Palmer for me was like, dude, you hate him because he left. I love him because he left. He took a risk. And I was so, for me, like, that's what the story of that to me fires me up. I don't know if I make any sense.
No,
but
that makes 100%.
Like, that's what content is.
Because I feel like, you know, so many people, I feel like you talk about, I was watching this movie because I was watching my economics kids, The Founder, which is,
McDonald's.
Yeah. It's a good movie, but it's like, it's one of those things of like, you look at, like what he did and, you know, it's not that great, you know, like when he built something obviously that was like really great and stuff like that. But they were talking about the idea of like, you know, men like with talent, because this is like what they were saying is like a cliche and they don't utilize it or something like that. Like he was listening to like this phonograph. And I feel like it's one of those things that like the world that we live in, so many people are exactly what you're saying. They're going to jobs where they're unfulfilled. They're going and being in relationships where they're unfulfilled, or they're doing something, or they have a terrible home life or something like that. And I'm not saying go out and start a podcast and you're gonna be the happiest person in the world. You know, like there are days where I'm not a happy person. Like I have 56,000 subscribers.
Do you ever feel
like,
weird, like, you know, where I have a day where I'm like depressed and it's like, I have everything. I have the best life. I have everything's amazing. And I still, but that's just how life is. It's not about, you know, like.
Yeah. I mean, like, you know, it's interesting because like yesterday, like I put out the XFL video and like I literally, I go right where you are. I turn on the camera, come over here, turn on the audio, I clap, usually take like a breath and then I go into it. And like, I was editing it and I was watching it back. I looked freaking miserable, like in the beginning of that video, and that was like it wasn't on camera. It didn't go out into like the world or whatever.
But like you see, like the guy sits in the chair. And goes,
it's just like, like, and it's not because it wasn't because of the content or it wasn't because of the video, but just like I had a really rough day yesterday. Yeah, and like there are days like absolutely like depression in the whole 9 yards.
But does for me, like, oh my, like that puts me in the zone. Like, let's go punch somebody. Let's knock this out of the park.
Like the Grossi posse does it for me. Like it does.
It gets you hyped. Let's go. And it makes you smile. Like it genuinely, like people call what I do cringy. I don't care because it works for me and I love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah. Like, yeah. No. And I get the cringe comment a lot. It's just like, it's so cringe. Like,
but you watch anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, thanks for the click, nerd. Like, yeah, it's great. But like, and that's one of those things. But what I was saying is like all these unfulfilled people, and you know, I think there's a line because like there's this pendulum in which you're talking about you can have a hobby, and so many people don't have hobbies because they're like whatever situation I'm in is making me so miserable that I am not going out and doing like the one thing I enjoy. And sometimes it's video games. We were talking about this before. Yeah. Like I used to love playing video games, and now I don't get to play video games because like I just have no time.
Yeah,
and you know, it's one of those things that like you need to find something that makes you happy, and you don't necessarily even need to make a career out of it.
No,
but it's something that just makes you happy, and you look forward to doing it, and you look forward to like it. It's just like, you know what? I'm having a really crappy day at work, but you know what? When I get home, this is gonna be enjoyable.
You know, I think that's when I got in your car. I was like, oh my gosh, this is. I don't meet other YouTubers. I don't collaborate really ever, and Zac, I'm busy doing my own thing, right?
Sure.
And I got in your car and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm with a person for the first time in I don't know how long who understands what it's like. Who like we have a kinship that I don't think many other people understand. You know, and like I went to an ice skating rink in downtown Manhattan yesterday, and this guy we got s'mores, and the guy at the s'mores table was sitting there, and he literally worked like a 10-hour shift, and he goes, yeah, I watched the entire season of television today. And I don't understand that. Like when I worked at a car wash, a very similar job where like in Portland, if you work at a car wash where I live, it rains all December. So like I was the only guy at a car wash in the rain just collecting money on a laptop. And what I did was I wrote my videos, and I made Strong Opinion Sports from the car wash office waiting for cars to show up. And I don't understand the guy who just sits and watches Netflix all day. Like, I don't.
See, it's interesting because like I get what you're saying, but at the same time, like if that's what gets them through that day, then I'm okay with it.
That makes sense. Okay.
Like, you know, like, you know what I mean? Like, and there's sometimes like it's weird. 2 years ago, I had never watched The Office. Never watched it. I literally have never watched an Office. And everyone's like, "Oh man, you know that episode from The Office?" And I'm like, "No." Or I just pretended and was like, "Yeah, okay." Like I watched Parks and Rec and like whatever, but I never watched The Office. And now I'm on my third rewatch of The Office. So like that changed very quickly. And it's one of those things that there are times where like I would come home and like I know I have to do a show. I just came home. I had a crappy day. I'm gonna sit down on the couch, and I would even say that I'm watching it, but I'm gonna put on The Office, and I'm gonna be like, I can relax. Like I can relax for like, it might only be 20 minutes, but I can relax for those 20 minutes. And like, and I get what you're saying of just like, you know, go and do and find something that makes you happy, whether it's playing a sport, whether it's like, you know, going out to like a bar, or whether it's like, you know, going to a coffee, whatever, like anything. Like I think it's very sad. Like when you get to the point where you're just like, I'm not saying everyone needs to be fulfilled with their jobs, but in your life, you need to find something that gives you fulfillment.
I'm really grateful. My dad taught me when I was a kid. He said, "Zac, enjoy your life. Like just whatever it is that takes to make that happen, enjoy your life." And like, I think some people don't have permission. Like, it's okay to enjoy your life. It's okay to like the small moments. Like on the train today, like there's a really pretty white bridge. I'm sure you've ever in the train to like where you live. There's a pretty white bridge. I'm like, man, like. That's just a pretty bridge.
Like lots of strings and stuff.
Yeah, just like things like that. Like just enjoy the moment. Like enjoy the things you're doing. And like sometimes step back and smile about it. Like I think that's huge. That people often like I have no idea about it. I think my guess is people often don't do that.
Well, I mean, like I'll admit I don't do that. Like there are times where like I'm putting my head down and I'm just like, just go. And they're like, "Oh, you went up 1,000 subscribers?" I'm like, "Cool." Yeah. Like great, wonderful. Because like I feel like there's. Like that's like that work ethic kind of thing. And like there are concerns that I have where, you know, and Jade and I have talked about this, where they're like, okay, like is there going to be a point where like you're satisfied? And like I'm looking at her and I'm like, no shit, probably not. like it's not going to happen. Like I love like there's like this fantasy I have in my head where I don't have to work another job, in which I can get up, I can have a regimen in which like I'm going to work out from this time to this time. I'm going to wake up this time. I'm going to eat better. Like I'm going to do all this stuff. And then I'm going to do my show. And like, and that's what I'm going to do. Like, and not be late. But I want to do more. I just don't have time to do it in the day because I have another job. And you know what I mean? Like it's, even if I get that, like there's still going to be that like, man, I should do 2 videos today. Like, you know what I mean? Like
now I can do more. Like,
yes. And I think that that's not healthy either, you know, to a point. But I think if you're going to be successful in whatever industry you're in, you kind of need to have that unhealthy drive to be like, this is what separates you from the people that try it for 6 months and then they quit. You know, if it's saying like, this isn't working out. I did this for 2 years and I don't think anyone would say this was working out. I did it for 3 years and I don't think anyone would say this was working out, but I just kept doing it.
I remember working at a car wash, getting made fun. Like, people from high school would come through. That's a loser who makes YouTube videos. Yeah. Like, you know, and I get it. I'm getting like 13 views working at a car wash, making videos no one's watching. But I was like, but I think it's fun. I enjoy it. So like, who cares if no one? That's the key. Like, John Harbaugh, I think would coach football whether he got paid $10 an hour or millions of dollars. Right. It's the same way with the show. Like, if I in fact, I stopped playing college football. Like I had to make a choice, and I could go back, and I still could go play college football, but it's like I actually enjoy making content way more than I enjoy playing quarterback, and this is what I just am so passionate about.